Hey, Alex, Luke here. We are going to go over our review from the material this week. We spent all week in half guard and dealing with sweeps, attacks from half guard, and then Friday we broke into the deep half, which is a super fun position. We're going to go back later in the cycle. We're going to spend a whole week on it because I think people really appreciated it, really liked something different, so we're going to go back there. I'm fighting the temptation to show that on our recap because what I really want to focus on is probably the most important thing we did all week. It's also the first thing we did on Monday night's fundamental portion of the class, and it's something we warmed up with all week long. And it's something, even regardless of your background, if you're not in Jiu-Jitsu and you're just training the ground fight for other reasons, that you can immediately plug into your game and help prevent the guard pass. So we're going to look at half guard not from an established position, but actually attaining half guard from a pass effort. And we're going to look at a couple of drills we use, again, to one, warm the hips up, but to two, teach us to read those little intricacies of the movement and start to capture this half guard. Half guard's another defensive movement along the way. It's another fortification, another line of barbed wire to keep this guy from my very vulnerable side mount or even more vulnerable full mount. And anytime I get the chance to keep a person at bay with open guard, I do. If they beat that open guard, I like a compressed open guard, like a butterfly. If they beat that, I'm looking at the closed guard. If they beat that, I'm looking at capturing half guard. And the whole way through, and the deep half guard even plays in there, just to slow them down, to stop them so I can read the motion and I can apply technique to prevent the side mount and the full mount. So, before we break into actual technique, we work a lot of drilling to make sure we can do that. And one of the first positions we use, very simple drill, and again, we're not doing technique here, this is just a drill you can plug in anywhere. This is, I'm starting with my shin across his belt line with my laces hooked. This simulates almost any kind of kneeling pass that he starts to do. This can simulate a guard recovery or recomposition on my part. This is just a very common spot for him to pass to my side mount. For instance, if he goes down on both knees and he throws an arm under, this is what an over-under pass looks like. It's very common. If I'm recovering from a side mount and I bump and I slide my hip in, this is what it looks like when I recompose guard. So it's a good place to start drilling from. It's a good general spot. So with him on his knees and working that pressure forward, your partner is going to start walking around this knee because this is how people move to come around that knee in the guard pass. And we're just going to work on a couple principles here. One, I want to face this pass and get on my side. I don't want to be flat. So he's just going to start working and he's going to work around and come to my side. I'm working a checking hand at either the knee or the hip, wherever it's convenient. So that I, again, build another line of defense. I'm working the check at the shoulder. So he's going to go ahead and keep coming around and I'm working on maintaining my position. I'm using my back foot to make sure that I can move my hips and continue to face the pass. Now, as we work, continue to drill. Go ahead. He's moving, he's moving. I'm going to work on shifting my hips back, threading my leg under, and then driving through to capture. And then once I capture, I'm attacking the back of his knee with my calf, and I'm bringing this down in diagonal right at the ground, and I want to put his knee on the ground. Because if I get in the habit of just locking up my half guard here, anytime this knee is off the mat, it becomes very simple for him to knee slide into a pass. And I want to, again, build this defensive platform to where now it's very difficult because that knee is on the ground. So, once I capture half guard, I'm always trying to pummel immediately to a good position up on my side. We switch. I come out, go to the other side. He's going to start on his knees, and we run the same drill on the other side. He starts to go around my knee, and I face the pass. I'm turning to keep up, and now I'm finding my position where I can thread under, thread back through, and chop into the knee. From here I have my choice, and as we drill, you can set this up as part of the drill or let your people free flow it. Decide, do I lock this in tight for like a locked in half guard, or do I thread my knee through as like a knee shield into the hip and just set my feet together? Both entirely acceptable, and let me work different things. One is very stable, one is more mobile. It leads me down different avenues. So that's our first drill on not technically something to do from the half guard, but how do I get there? And that transition is something we lose a lot. And we give it up to that idea of, oh, I scramble and I get there. The scramble always goes to the bigger, stronger, more athletic person. This lets you work the technical side of your hips and your feet to make sure that we're making use of technique to make those transitions go smoothly. So now we take it up a slight notch, and now we deal with the standing guard passer. Again, very common because he has a lot more momentum, a lot more mobility. So again, we just start with a very generic spot. So as I'm here, I'm going to get both cuffs, and I'm going to put my feet on his hips. Again, we are not simulating technique. What we're doing here is just working these concepts, just working this movement. So now, your partner who's up top is just going to start working your knees, and he's going to basically try and get around your knees as we do go ahead and make a pass. As he works a lot, he'll just go ahead and come all the way around, right? Because this is a fairly common standing guard pass. He's just going to work the knees, and his goal is to get these knees to the side and get around and go ahead and go to side mount. So he's going to work whatever he wants to, and this is what he's kind of working for, is this kind of movement. For me, my job is to maintain connection. We talk about building connection a lot and keeping these in where I can control balance, I can feel his motion. So we're working this, and as he starts to move around, I'm going to work on getting off my back. Go ahead and just start working, and you'll notice I'm going to turn onto my side, and I'm going to work on getting to a position where I can really start to maintain connection with one foot, get a good push-pull, and now you'll see that this foot gets freed up. Now I'm going to work on using my grips and using my hips to turn to where I can get a nice deep bite with my leg. Once I get this deep bite, you'll notice again I'm attacking the back of the knee, and this is important even more so here, because if I start to look here for my half guard, what does he do? Immediately he turns and he runs the knee slide pass. So I want to drill this out of him. So as we're working this drill, he's moving, he's cutting his angles, I'm moving with him, and I'm finding my calf right to the back of his knee. Now from here, drill a couple of different options. One option is I can let this foot go, I can grip with my calf, and I can pull down with this to bring his knee to the mat. And again, we isolate that knee, we put it to the mat, and we take away the knee slide pass. My other option is as, again, he's moving around, doesn't matter which direction, it can end up going either way. I make my capture. If this is set up right, I can bring this foot to the mat, and I can drag my hips away. Once my hips are dragged away, I continue to make the cut with my calf, and I bring him down. Now I finish either going to the triangle for my half guard, or going to my knee shield in the hip for a half guard. And then once I've done that one direction, we start back, and he's going to try and pass the other direction. And sometimes he'll get around your guard, right? And sometimes I'll have to make a couple of adjustments, but each time I'm learning something from those adjustments. And I'm learning how to turn my hips, I'm learning how to maintain my connection, and I'm learning how to get him pulled down into this half guard. Go one more time. So now maybe this time I step out and bring him down and set my half guard. So, 2 drills that you can put in, dealing with a pressure pass from the knees and dealing with more of a standing pass, working around the knees. Both are really, really good opportunities for us to thread our half guard, and these are 2 really good drills to get used to building that half guard into your game, rather than just dealing with it from a technical standpoint, dealing with it from a transitionary level. So, lots of good stuff, and then, once you can get there reliably, you can start building in all your technique on top of that. So, there we are. That's a half guard for the week. Next week we'll be moving into something else, so check back, look at the rest of our content, subscribe, share us around, and we'll see you next week.